Alright, in these next videos, I'm breaking down my full process for creating anime-style hair for games. There's a lot to cover, so instead of cramming everything into one long video, I'm going to walk you through it step by step so you can follow along and understand. The first thing I need to do is gather references for the hairstyle. I found some cosplay references that did a really good job, and I also found a real-world style called a Scandi Bob. I'm guessing it's a big hit in Scandinavian countries. That gives me a solid foundation to work from, but I don't want the hair to look too perfect. This is where I start thinking practically. If this character is coming from a fight or two, her hair is not going to rest evenly on her head. It's going to be a little messy, a little chaotic. So that's where I'm coming from with this thought process in this anime hairstyle. I'm using PureRef to organize everything and keep it on screen while I work. I highly recommend breaking references into angles of view, like front, side, back. It makes building the shape a lot easier. This particular reference is a long hair reference, but I think it's a good reference for hair flow. If I decide to pull her hair back somewhat, this is probably what it will look like underneath where I pull it back. These particular ones I just have here for parting of the hair in the front and top view. Then I have a few for the back. I may change this idea for the back hair to get a little messier, but we'll see. And these are different views with a band in the hair. I think these will be very helpful for getting the band to sit in her hair naturally. And this is enough reference for me to go ahead and get started. Now, before I start with the hair cards here, we'll go ahead and jump into ZBrush, and I'll show you a quick method on how to handle this all in ZBrush. When using ZBrush for hair card projection, you should have a plane for the hair card setup. The UVs should be nice and straight, with even spacing on the plane. You don't need it in ZBrush, but it can help with aligning the fiber mesh hair to fit the hair cards. The rendered settings in ZBrush will allow you to organize rendered images on the 3D planes UVs in a software like Photoshop. Now, there is a curved plane above the UV plane here in ZBrush. This is representing the possible curve of the head, and it is where the hair fiber mesh will hang. The fiber mesh should have depth to it for best results. So the hair is positioned in different Z-axis positions. Pay close attention to the hair in your reference to get the fiber mesh looking right. Picture this. The character or creature that you're making is upside down. The hair is hanging upside down. This is the basic look for the fiber mesh that you want. And later the hair cards. In my example, I was making hair for someone with thick curly hair. Now you can turn on polyframe view and create and align your fiber mesh to work with the type of hair you are looking for and to fill the estimated spacing for the hair cards. With the position ready, render different passes so you can project the alpha mass, normal, occlusion, height, color, and possibly an ID map. Then you will use that information to add textures for the hair cards. As long as the UV planes and fiber mesh are aligned for creating the final hair card UVs, this will work out pretty well. For this project though, I'm going to use a tool for a faster workflow. I'll be using Strand Designer. It's especially good for straighter or stylized hair, and it speeds up the process quite a bit. So let's get started here. Before we get into adding the hair, we need the MetaHuman face mesh exported to Maya. Open up the Unreal Engine project with your MetaHuman in it. We need to export the face mesh. So navigate to the face mesh, right-click it, and export it with the preview mesh on. That's all we need in Unreal Engine right now. I'm jumping into Maya, but most other 3D programs will be able to do the same. In Maya, I import the face mesh, remove the rig, and add it to a layer as a reference layer. It's a good idea so I don't accidentally select the faces of the face or the head as I manipulate the hair cards. I'm jumping into Maya, but most other 3D programs will be able to do the same. Next, I create a plane and scale it relative to the head. Every face going across will only count as half, but you get two faces, that counts as the top of the hair card. I will be able to add more hair card UV strips later. For now, I want about 7 or 8 UV strips for the hair cards. I consider this a less complicated hairstyle, so that should be a good number of hair cards to work with. You'll see what I mean in a moment. And that's enough to block in this face shape. I apply a planar projection scale to fit the UV grid and duplicate it. Then I isolate and extract one of these hair card strips and export it as a PNG. This becomes one of my UV references in the software I'll be using called Hair Strand Designer. I can import the UV strip into Hair Strand Designer app. Down below the preview window is a UV image button that, when pushed, will import the UV strip. There is a little control for opacity directly on the side of the button. Also, if I go up to the strand slide, I can drop all the strands down to 0 and add what I need manually. Then I can select a group I want to edit first. In this case, it's group 1, and I can select it at the bottom of the app. Then I can go back up to Add Strands. I also need to add more length to this, and I can do that with the length control. Spacing is also important, especially for a base layer. For the first hair card, I need a good amount of strands and a wider spacing. This app has some great features to get the look you want, so play around with it and see what you think. Down below the preview window are options to change the preview setting. Selecting fast reduces resolution in the visible amount of strands to reduce the need of computer power to render it. Slow is what we originally are looking at. With this, just about all strands are present, and medium is in between fast and slow. This first group is going to be the base hair. For me, it's not enough hair strands and I will need more. I do this by creating group 2. Then I go ahead and get a good basic look for it. And I simply move it over on top of group 1, well, sort of on top. Now I have a good amount of hair strands and diversity in the strands. And now I can create another group. Here I can set up the hair strands, and I can also edit the overall shape with mixers below. So I'm editing the points of this spline, and it changes the overall shape of the hair clump. With Mixer on, all the hair groups are affected. To remove the effect, drop the sliders down to 0. You can also change the amount of the mixer you want affecting the hair groups. There's more controls here, but these are the ones I'll be dealing with. I want to keep in mind what the purpose of each group is. Some are to fill out the hair, and others are to break up the hair strands. Now, once happy with the looks, I'll generate all maps but AO. I usually leave the AO map for last because it's the heaviest, sometimes needs its own attention. Back in Maya, I'm going to set up a material to preview the hair strands. In the hypergraph, I plug in a depth map as the color map and mask as transparency. Now, you don't have to do this. You can actually use the base color map if you want to. I just find it's easier to use this, and it gives me a little more details than base color map. I'll preview this on the hair card UV map. In the UV window, I want to make sure I have edges bordering the images of the hair and one edge bisecting the hair at its center. If needed, I can delete, add, or move the edge loops to get this done. And that's the base setup for creating hair cards. So in the next video, we'll start actually applying the hair cards to the character, and we'll also shape out the base layer. I'll see you there.